Welcome back to a brand new episode of Retro Wrestle Chat with myself, Tubbs, and Rich NG. Today we're going to be talking about Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus the Macho Man Randy Savage from WrestleMania 3, 1987, from the Pontiac Silverdome, I think it was. And don't forget to subscribe, guys. There's plenty more of these chats on the way. And check the back catalogue for more. Like, subscribe, and do all the stuff. And here we go with the match. Welcome back to another episode of Retro Wrestle Chat with Tubbs and Rich. How are we getting on, boys?
Yeah.
So, the worst thing about this being filmed on a Sunday is at least one of us is always fucked tired.
Yeah. It's the week that follows it through, you know.
Yeah. Well, at least we have this anyway to escape from life. And
yes.
So this week we didn't have any suggestions, so I picked Ricky the Dragon Steamboat versus Macho Man Randy Savage. I was going to say Randy. Oh yeah, I was going to say it on arseways, but anyway, I got there. So before we go any further, let's just read out last week's comment. It was from Let's Survive Paddy Plays, and he was talking about 3 stages of hell last week. Mm-hmm. He says, overall score 24 out of 30. Nice. Thanks for doing the match, lads. I will probably land between Tubbs and Brian at an 8.5. I did adore this match so much. It's fucking ferocious. Really appreciated all your insights. Always great. Just fucking brutal, lads. Also, Tubbs, I'm finally glad I picked a match that you liked.
Oh. I did like it, Paddy. I liked it very fucking much, my friend.
While we're on the subject of comments, just shout out, is Ruth okay? Because she hasn't been messaging us. She's always like one of our original followers and obviously dropping comments and stuff. So hey Ruth, just making sure there's a courtesy kind of check up to our fans. Like, Ruth, are you okay? Come on, you haven't been checking on my hair recently. Get my comments. Let me know my bangs, all right, kind of thing. Come on, Ruth. Ruth, we're still waiting for your match for us to review.
Yeah.
So come on.
Yes.
That's Ruth Collins you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. Come on, Ruth. Like, fucking hook us up. A quick shout out, because hopefully you're going to follow us, because they just find out we're doing this, and they're quite stoked to be like, holy shit, you doing like old Undertaker, none of this old man Taker. I'm like, well, the old man Taker we do is like old school Taker, not the old age pensioner Taker. So that's is to Vicky and to Nat and the wee little dude I just met today, Jack. So hey dudes, kind of dudes. When you watch this, once again, throw your fucking matches in there. Like I said to you earlier on, we'll fucking cover any match because we did a Chris Benoit one, so come on.
Yeah.
We didn't go for anything really.
We did a Hogan match, so yeah.
We did a Hogan one.
There's a lot worse you can do. So boys, quick opening thoughts on this week's match. It was a lot shorter than I remembered for the start anyway. What about yourselves? I'll start with you, Tubbs. Seems it's most fresh for you, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those matches that, like, you know, like even with WrestleMania 3, you know, everyone always talks about, you know, like, oh, Hogan and Andre. But I always remember, when I think WrestleMania 3, I always think Steamboat versus Savage. Because it is one of those matches. Like, we have to look at it from this point. It's, like, for the era that it is, it's like, technically it's like golden era matches. When you look at the style of matches, like you look at the entire event of WrestleMania 3, maybe outside of the Hart Foundation versus Bulldogs, it's very much that cartoony character, over the top, you know, like driven matches. Like Roddy Piper was in a hair versus hair match, etc. You know, there's a lot of those over the topness. This match, if you look at it on a scale of that event, and for the time, because Brian looked it up for me, lads, because I'm, you know, 1987, there was not a lot of technically sound, great technical matches put on, and this one was bell to bell, arm drags, fast paced. It was just like, you know yourself, like the high flying is like, you know, it's forearm smashes and elbow drops. It's not over the top for that, but yeah, I remember this match fondly. And like as I said, I don't remember Hogan and Andre. I do, but it's not the match that makes me remember this event. This match was always like a fantastic match when I was always talking about it over the years, and I think it stood the test of time mainly because it was done in an era that wasn't known for its technical matches. And to be fair, these two boys at that time were ahead of the game. They were doing shit that like a lot of other people weren't doing. And the story leading into it was very basic. It was, Macho Man fucked his throat up with a bell, and George the Animal Steel stole Miss Elizabeth, vice versa. Like, that's one thing I was looking back at it. I had to go back and look at the build because I couldn't remember the build. But I forgot, like back in WrestleMania 3, the builds were very weird.
Yeah.
But who doesn't love a Macho Man promo? Like,
yeah, coke-fueled fucking binge promo. Great crack. Like, the first thing I noticed when the link I watched it on had a bit of the build on beforehand, and the gimmick they settled Ricky Steamboat with, my God, he totally did not need that shit. Like, what was he? He was like a dragon trainer or something like that.
Yeah, something like so fucking weird. Like, because remember they had like but like even like what was his gimmick? Remember they had him almost like with like dragon shit on him. Like, had like do we go?
They had him breathing fire and all after that.
It was the dragon. The dragon character came later, where he used to come to the ring and breathe the fire and eat the wings on and stuff. I think this was basically, he was like, I won't say Bruce Lee type thing, but it was very much a very much that kind of character.
To me, it was like when I was watching, it was like this was typical Vince kind of McMahon shit. Dude looks fucking kind of like Asian. Man, let's make you look like fucking like we're gonna throw a dragon in there. Let's do some fucking kung fu. Even though you don't do that shit in the ring, but just be like doing your promos and it's like, wah! And it's just like, what the fuck?
Talking under his voice and
you're like,
you know, just like
at the same time, it's coming under and it's like he's from Hawaii. Sorry, bro. You know what I mean? It's like it's so fucked up, but it's typical Vince being like that. Like, I'm going to be racist and just you kind of look like Asian, so kung fu, Bruce Lee's kicking about. You can do that. Just to start your promos, just make some karate noises. Whoa! I was like, man, this is horrendous. Yeah. Got to the point though, I actually had to go I had to go Google to make sure like where he was from. If he had like, any Asian like, heritage, I couldn't really find him. But I'm like, nah, I'm pretty sure he doesn't.
And
he does.
Like the funny thing, go ahead, Tubbs. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying to add to Rich's point there is I don't even think it was one of those things where it was like maybe it was a racist thing. I just think that was the level of thinking for the gimmicks back then. It was like like they had Rowdy Roddy Piper, even though Rowdy Roddy Piper is like a legend. You're like going, was like,
he's not Scottish.
Like, he's not Scottish. We'll put a kilt on you, we'll have bagpipes, and we'll call you, we'll make you Scottish. And then you have like the Bulldogs, they bring a bulldog to the ring. It was, and then you had Adrian Adonis, it's like this big overweight wrestler, and you was like Hacksaw Jim Duggan is the American guy with the blue shorts and the flag.
City, like.
So if you guys, Tubbs obviously did your wrestling, so if you were in wrestling at this point, what you would have been then is just a very stereotypical Irish drunk.
Oh, yeah, hands down.
You'd be coming like smashing Guinnesses over your head, and like,
To add to that, Rich, I think I would be an Irish drunk leprechaun because I'm a small guy.
Hornswoggle before Hornswoggle.
It would have been Hornswoggle before Hornswoggle was a thing.
And see what you could do as a cheat move. You would like spray fucking like crush Lucky Charms and people's faces, like crush one, like and blind them.
Every color of the rainbow.
That's what I mean. This is very much that era. It is that era of the weird cartoony gimmicks. You forget, right? Around this time frame, there was a Hulk Hogan cartoon with Lou Albano and it was just pure cartoony over the top characters. These was it is that time frame. And then this is what I mean. You look at Savage, as over the top as his gimmick is. Yeah, but he lived that gimmick, man. This is why the Macho Man was so
realistic amongst all that rubbish, like
all up through his career.
See, I always wonder though, and somebody's got to do this in the comment if you fuckers don't know. Who came first, the Kool-Aid Man or Macho Man? With a fucking,
The which?
The Kool-Aid Man. Remember, he used to come through the fucking walls and be like, oh yeah. And then Savage does that.
I don't know the facts of that, but I'm going to say Macho Man, that's 80s. Didn't Kool-Aid Man just come in? Wasn't he 90s, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could be completely wrong. If I'm wrong, tell me in the comments. But yeah, I think so.
So let's get on to the match after all that. Like, the one thing that struck me was I'm not a big Ricky Steamboat fan. I haven't seen a lot of him. Like the most recent time I saw him was that was it a Legends handicap match against Chris Jericho at WrestleMania years ago? And Ricky Steamboat, like, he just didn't lose a step. He was exactly the same.
Yeah, he was still very good.
He was so good and crisp and fucking everything you wouldn't expect from back then. What about you, Rich? What do you think of the opening of the match?
No, I shit you not, right? See, the first thing that I actually came in my head, right? Seeing Macho Man. So back then, like, you would put up that Macho Man was one of the big guys, like, built-wise, right? He's so fucking tiny compared to what there is today.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Like, is when we were talking about, like, other matches being, like, the things that are different from what you see now to, like, what it was. That was one of the fucking first things. I was like, Macho Man. Fucking, when I say tiny, I mean, like, tiny compared to, like, your Brock Lesnar's and all that. You know what I mean? Like, this dude's fucking small. It's quite hard to go back when you watch these older fucking matches and think to yourself, like, you're so used to me, like what was it last week? Was it Triple H Stone Cold fight where it was instant, like, this fucking hell broke loose kind of thing? But like this match, like, that kind of, like, style did not really exist. So you had that kind of, like, it was to me, this match was a slow paced match.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, but, like, some fucking stonking cool shit, like, Ricky just fucking picking up, like, and holding, like, fucking Macho Man fucking up in the air, like, with ease. The height of, like, I'll say my catchphrase for this one, how fucking brutal was it when Macho Man fucking, was it knees or the fucking stomp on fucking, like, Ricky's chest?
Yeah, the stomp, yeah.
Just like, fucking brutal. Like, I was like, nah, man, like, that shit's gonna hurt. Once again, I'm aware that wrestling's fake, but you can't fake that shit. You know, he landed on him.
Like, I think this match is very much a product of they were still pushing it as real, whereas now it's sports entertainment. So this is very physical, and it was made out to be actually fucking hard hitting as well. And actually, it was, like, there was very little, like, you see how good these two are when I'm actually struggling to think of a botch, whereas every other week we're doing stuff. I do know one. I think you're going to say it, but, like, every week here we're going through a list of fucking botches in some of the matches we've reviewed. But go on, Rich, you were saying.
Was purely, it wasn't their fault. Well, kind of was, but I'm bringing it back. The cameras.
You know what? Actually,
that's where you know some botches there. But once again, like it's your third WrestleMania. They haven't mastered, like, they don't have all the new technology, like, to have, like, fucking like sky angles and stuff kind of thing. So there was at least one botch in that match, and it was by Ricky to Macho. I think Macho Man was on the ground, and what was it? I think it was he just, like, punching or, like, slapping, like, the Macho Man, and you could see from the camera angle. I think he did it twice. He could see him actually nowhere near Macho's head. Now, if you were to watch that live, about fucking 30 rows back or something, or even on the front row seat,
you wouldn't see it.
You probably wouldn't have seen it, but because once again that camera was fucking right there, and I'm pretty sure they used two different cameras to show you each one that was done. I was like, damn, like, dude ain't fucking hitting him, you know, like, so, like, that was, like, potentially maybe the only botch that I seen. I did think though during this, like, Macho was quite stiff at times. I was like, he's not always this stiff, but I thought, like, tonight, like, he was fucking stiff. That's just my opinion. I know, like, people like, well, that's just Macho Man, but there were just certain moments I was just like, it felt like he wasn't working as hard kind of thing, and, like, kind of working with Ricky a lot. Like, I don't know, it was just me, like, those kind of botches that kind of, like, took away from me enjoying the match as much as I maybe originally did from watching even more wrestling. And then you compare it to all the other federations I watch as well. But, like, it was just how fucking stiff he was at times. I was like, oh, like, this match is starting to suck, and this is starting to drag now, kind of thing to me. But, like, other botches were, like, I would say, like, some of the, you know, the period of time where it was like fucking 50 million pins.
The
way the kind of the pins were going.
The reverse 30 end.
Weren't as great as what they can be done. But once again, is that because like these kind of pins have now been made to be perfect now, so they look better. It looked quite sloppy in quite a few of these because it was such a bad end of like, try this one, try that one, try that one, try that one, try that one, and just like for fuck's sake kind of thing. Like, to me, that was just fucking quite. There was botches there, in my opinion. But hey, like, I ain't a fucking professional wrestler. I'm no fucking Dave Meltzer or anything. I'm just a fucking dude from Scotland talking shit because he's too tired to his mates right now. But
and I'm actually the flip of the coin on that one, Rich. I actually watched this match, and from the bell, I was kind of going, oh, excuse me, they're hitting arm drags and they're hitting this shit fast. And I agree with you about the Macho Man stiff thing. I think that helped the match. In a way, because I think like he was laying in. They were laying into each other in this. Now, as I said, there was moments where it went outside. The match would slow down and pace and stuff. But there was a lot of moments in this match, like where Macho was laying in kicks and he was laying in punches and stuff, and they looked like they were landing. They looked like they were stiff. Ricky hit him a few slaps in the match and they were very stiff. But I think you got to look at this as a WrestleMania match. These guys are going to hit harder because they want this to be as Brian quoted earlier, this still was in the generation of real wrestling, So it was being sold as that. But I just think,
kayfabe.
but this was way before kayfabe didn't exist anymore. But I think it was that thing. I think when you were saying I didn't find it slow. Like, there was a lot of sections in it that like slowed down, but I found them doing, like, as I said to you a while ago about it being a technically sound match in a generation that didn't really have a lot of technically sound wrestlers. So I think that's why they were pushing the pace out the window. And I think it was pure cool that they were using, like Macho Man. Like, there was a spot in it where Macho Man hit Ricky over the top rope. He did the skin the cat thing and pulled himself back up, and Macho was right on him. But then 2 seconds later, Ricky was kind of walking across the ring, and then Macho just launches across the ring with his knee into the back, which isn't technically sound. It was just a basic flying knee. So, like I said, this is 1987. And these are kind of like, like very basic versions of what you see wrestlers doing today. Like, fast hip toss.
Nowadays we're
fast arm drag
takeovers every week, like.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And then it's like, and the crossbodies into the pin off of the ropes, like duck and clotheslines coming back, going into another pin. It was like, it's fast-paced turnarounds to kind of keep the pace of the match going. But there were moments, as I said, it's not a match without flaws. It definitely isn't, I agree with you on the camera angles. There was a couple of spotty camera angles, very much so near the end of it, where there was a bell line right in the ring.
Yeah.
And ref gets up right where the bell is, and you're kind of going, how can you not see the bell, bud?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But as I said, I think this one is because we have reviewed matches that are like from, the Attitude Era, the John Cena era. What's it called again? Ruthless aggression. And modern day. So this is very much going back to the golden era, which, as I said, it was a very cartoony-esque era to do. So matches weren't always going to be technically sound, and I think I appreciated this a little more because it was. So,
guys, like, what did you make of the ending? I wasn't 100% sure who was face and who was heel by the end, if I'm honest.
I got no fucking idea, like.
Because you had George the Animal Steel interfering, you had Macho Man probably getting to 1, 2, 3 if it wasn't for the ref bump. I was all confused by the end of it. I'm going to be honest about it.
But the ending, basically, like, Macho Man was the heel in this match, hands down. Yeah. Which one thing I never really liked, I will state, and this is, I never liked Miss Elizabeth with heel Macho Man. It always seems weird to me, man. That's why I think Sherry works so well with Macho when he was a thoroughbred heel. Macho I think at this point, I don't think he was full blown heel. I just think he was teetering the waters. He was doing heelish shit, but he had the good manager to keep him in line. George the Animal Steel, as you could even see, was just Ricky's buddy. He was the big hairy fucking dude. Man, what a fucking load of hair does this man have?
What a hairy back, like.
Hair on his back. But, I think he was just the friend. And I think the ending came when he went for the bell and everything was just, George was there to kind of like stop him from doing it again. And then when he got pushed down, it set up for the ending. Now,
was
it the greatest ending to a match ever? Oh no.
Yeah, Macho Man was the heel, but I feel like Ricky got a heel win over the heel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that
Macho Man
makes sense.
That's true. Yeah,
Macho Man had him beat clean, only for the ref bump as well was probably the funniest thing I've seen all week.
Because Rich, we do know that you do love an oversell, and that referee bump was a fucking oversell. My fucking word.
No,
he didn't take one slap. He hopped off the side as well.
I hate them, and I always mention it, man. I don't fucking like that shit. I just fucking be like, man, they oversell that motherfucking thing. He got punched. He fucking fell back a fucking mile. Like, I hate oversells. The worst one ever is fucking Vince and the Stunner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, fucking hate that shit. But then going back to the point of the referee, dude, like, this is like the third or fucking fourth time I've been like, the referee's a key fucking part to the story.
You always say it.
Fucking, I say it, man. I say a few things. Camera angles. The referee's a part of the story. It's fucking brutal. I got fucking 3 strikes fucking in this one today, like in this fucking this match.
So guys, let's go for our worst spot once we're here. And Rich, you're on fire, so you go first.
Man, okay, so where'd I fucking start? First off, so
cut.
I'm fucking tired of all those fucking pins, right? So right, if I go for a pin, right, I hit you and you fall down, I pin for you, and you fucking kick out straight away, right? Then I go for another fucking pin, you kick out again. Then I go for a fucking third pin, and from a different angle, man. Okay, let's mix it up. I take it from a different angle. I fucking pin you, right? And you kick out that again. Why the fuck do you think I'm gonna go for that 4th fucking time straight away to pin you again and think that you're gonna fucking let me pin you? It makes no fucking sense. I'm sorry, guys. I am really tired. I've just got my.
This is Rich's rants.
It's just like, it makes no fucking sense.
I had one. It's your turn now.
Like, you should have done something like that, fucking like some brutal fucking move. You know what I mean? Like, introduce like a new fucking move that's going to take down the fucking Macho Man to really fucking get that, like, really fucking sell over. It was just fucking stupid, man. I fucking hate it. The camera angles, man, it wasn't good. There was something about it. To me, there was that. I totally know what you're saying, Tubbs, about the fucking 87 wrestling style, but to me, it just felt that little bit slower than it could. Because you think about it, these guys can move faster. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, they can. Yeah.
They can move faster. No, we've seen them move faster, but it just, to me, it felt like it was a little bit fucking slower. But no, overall worst point is those fucking pins. Like, how many was there? It
was quite a lot.
Like, and it was like a 30-second fucking period. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was fucking pointless. And that's how you win. That's how you fucking win this fucking match. Fucking hell, man. Thank fuck I wasn't my age watching wrestling in fucking 87. That's what I was getting.
Worst spot, Tubbs?
I can't remember because that rant was so glorious. Like, I'm like going like, I don't remember anything in this match now. My worst spot in the match. There was a moment where Ricky Steamboat came off the outside. I think he dropped. All it can be this. I never got that move. Great Khali used to do it as a finisher.
Oh, the karate chop thing.
And I get it. Like I just said, it goes back to the 1987 style.
Yeah.
You weren't getting shooting star presses. You weren't. You maybe a few years later, you started getting like a moonsault. But that was kind of it. You had like elbow drops. Maybe
Styles was probably doing shooting star presses off his crib at that stage, like.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It was, when you look at it that way, it's very much a thing of that wasn't the style, and if you got it, it was mesmerizing. Do you know, like Macho Man's elbow drop, to his credit, is one of the best elbow drops I've ever seen. It's the way he lands it. It's just crisp, and it's got a good style. It's not the diving elbow. It's kind of in. He tucks it in and lands it. So it's a very different one. But do you know what I mean? And back in 1987, that was, that was like a fucking 630 fucking splash that fucking Ricochet does these days. You're, oh my God, the elbow. So it is one of those things. Like it wasn't like worst spots for me, man. Were just like things like it's the 87, man. Do you know? It's like, as I said, I've become accustomed to swanton bombs. I used to do swanton bombs and moonsaults and fucking all these moves myself, and as well, you know. But so I became accustomed to that style and high flyer moves and hardcore ethics. And you know, when you look back at this, as Rich said, it is a product of its era, but it's very much a thing of, you know, we've had decades of wrestling to evolve with. We go back and watch this. This was very much the first based era. So it is. You know, if it's slow on points, it's a product of the time. You know, this was like a very good match, I found. But it's just, as I will agree with Rich on that, is there are slow spots in it, there's slow movements in it. But for me overall, I did see a fast pace in it. I didn't mind the fast counts, because if you look at it, those fast count spots where they'd hit him, go down for a pin, get back up, go back at the ropes, hit him back down, go for another pin, that kind of bled in to like early ECW and WCW days with like the likes of Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. They did all those kind of spots as well.
But they
much faster paced, much faster. They like, it's like, as I said, you look at the ladder matches, they were good, but then when the Hardys and Edge and Christian, the boys got their hands on them, and they evolved them and took them to another level. That's kind of what happened with a lot of these spots in here, like the fast arm drags and stuff. They just evolved over time. So when you go back and look at it now, it is very slowish. It looks a lot slower, and the presentation's old as well. So, you know what I mean, it has that older feel to it. But yeah, my worst spots in this match were basically just, you know, the George Animal Steel thing at the end. I think I didn't like. It happened in story. As I said, you know me, Rich, I always go to the story. It was there for the story purposes, because, you know, the bell was used to take Ricky out in the original start to this feud. And it was there to be taken out by his ring guy. I just didn't like it. I thought George kind of did a bad job of selling the thing. And then one point I will make is when Macho Man kicked him in the head, he completely shaved the back of his skull and missed him half.
Yeah,
So it was sloppy. So I think maybe the tomahawk chops I didn't like, and maybe the George Animal Steel's, you know, sell of the you know, getting the bell back at the end kind of didn't work for me.
Okay, so I'll just do my best and worst. My worst, I sort of agree with you there, Tubbs. I don't think George Animal Steel needed to be near that match whatsoever. I think, now this has been very, very cynical, but I think someone like him was inserted into that match, possibly so that match wouldn't outdo Hogan and Andre. But that's a very cynical way of looking at it, because
Maybe.
If you put those two together in a no shit match, they would pull out 5 stars every time, in my opinion. But the WWF did, basically, and added shit to the end that didn't need to be there. My best spot would be, I think, Macho Man's elbow. Absolute fucking perfection. How he hit that. And how he always used to hit it, in fairness.
Yeah.
That and the arm drags from Ricky Steamboat. No one does them like him. Absolutely. To this day, no one does them as good as he did. And that's saying something, considering we've talked there about 30 years of wrestling evolving and stuff. What about you, Rich? What was your favourite part of the match?
The end. I'm just fucking with you boys. Nah, man, like it was just some of those moves. I think it was within like the first like 5-10 minutes. Like I said earlier on the video, like when fucking like Ricky would fucking knees just had fucking Macho Man up in the fucking air, like just like the height of fucking like you seen like Macho Man fucking jump and then like landing on him. It was just like that's fucking brutal. Like it was so fucked up kind of thing. It was like those kind of moments that just kind of like gradually through, kind of seeing those kind of things, like that was fucking cool. But also the end, because like I was a bit like it's fucking dragging on for what it is. So yeah,
dragging on, nice pun. Tubbs.
I have two. I was going to say the elbow, because I fucking love the elbow and I thought it was so.
Here, when you're finished, Tubbs, give us your final score as well.
After this?
Yeah.
Okay, I will. Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna pick the elbow drop because of, like, I thought the camera angle in it was fucking slick. It was like lower down, looking up at Mach, so you kind of got the whole flow down. But you picked that spot, so we'll give that one to you this week. But the two spots outside of that I loved there was a spot where Macho Man kicked Ricky Steamboat in the gut, and he kind of went against the ropes, and Macho Man came off the other rope and ran back, and Ricky launched him over his shoulder, and Macho Man just went up and out over the ring. That was a savage fucking spot, because, as I said, it goes back to the product of the fucking era it's in. You never really saw a lot of that shit. That shit didn't start coming in properly until, like, the Bret Hart, Owen, Michaels days. You know, when they started doing backdrops over the top rope.
Yeah.
So, and it was a crisp one. Macho just went up and over it. It was fucking brilliant. But this, to Rich's detriment, one of my favourite spots in the match, because I belly laughed out loud when it happened, was Earl Hebner's fucking cell when he got hit. The man looked like he had been shot in the chest, and fucking, I just laughed so much.
But that's the referees of 87, remember? They're not like the referees we have today. That's the referees of 87. But you expect...
man, they're hard fucking core, man. It takes a bullet shot to knock those fuckers down, right?
It wasn't just the first slap. Instead, he went back and bounced back again. It was fucking...
Man, like, when it happened, I just looked and I was going, I just laughed. I was like, this is fucking hilariously over the top, but I loved it. But... yeah, I just there was, like, there's a lot of ones, like as I said, there's all the arm drags and all the kind of, like, the fast paced kind of back and forth. So I loved all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it was just, as I said, when we watch these matches, and I harper back to the Edge and McFoley thing. It's like, things like, if I enjoy something, that's where the marks come for me. I'm like, oh my god. But that spot for me, I was like, fuck me. I could see it happen a mile away, because you saw him throw him back and then he spun him around again. I was like, all right, the ref is going here. But it was the way it happened. I was like, Jesus Christ, he got shot in the chest by an invisible bullet. You know, if they had a time machine, then the screw job would not have happened. If Earl Hebner did not pull through from that bullet shot,
Shawn Michaels would still be a cunt.
Yeah.
Okay, Tubbs, what's your final score for this week?
All right, final score I'm going to give Macho Man versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Oh, yeah, brother. Is an 8.
Okay.
Do you want to know why? I'll tell you why. I'm giving it an 8 because the match did entertain me. It's a product, like, I tried to watch it with an open lens and go, all right, it's a product of its era. It's a fucking 1987 match. It's not going to be bells and whistles like we have nowadays, or even Attitude Era matches that we watched. Like, last week's was fucking ferocious. I knew I wasn't going to get that, so I tried to watch it with the lens of the era in my head. Does it hold up like I remember as a child? Not all the way. I do still love the match. I still love the moments of it. But I remember it. As I said, it goes back to, we harped back to the Hardy Boys cage match. I loved that match when I was younger. It didn't really stick with me as an adult. This one does stick with me to a point, but there's sections of it that don't. And I think that's just because we've evolved past the old school WWF days, because it's wrestling entertainment now. Oh.
Get the F out.
But that's the pandas, you know.
No, but see, man, there's a family of pandas in Japan wrestling, my friend.
That's why they changed the name, because of the pandas.
Yeah, but there's pandas in Japan wrestling today. There's a family of them, Rich.
You want the black guys?
That's because, like, over there they're hardcore, man. Like, not over there, man. Like, this over there they've got, like, hard tables, you know. None of this fake shit.
They're the WWF Bamboo Tag Team Champions.
I want this.
Anyway, Rich, what was your final score?
What do you boys think my score is going to be?
I'm going to guess your score is going to be 5.
What? What's that?
5
It's a 1.
Right. I was originally going to score this on the amount of hours I've had in the last, like, kind of 40 hours. Was 2 hours sleep. But, like, you got to be legit. Like Tubbs was saying, like, you've got to take in consideration. Like, I got so much I can shit on this, right? And I have a lot. I've shot on this a lot, right? Mm-hmm. It does have its good parts. It's an 87. You know what I mean? Like, so you ain't going to get any fucking kind of like Jericho, Okada, like Bret Hart, kind of like these kind of moments in this match. This match wasn't fucking solid. Was I entertained? I was not entertained. I'm taking into consideration and into factor that I am fucking shattered. Right? Take that into consideration. So I'm gonna go with a 4.
Cool.
Higher than I would have probably given it, but like taking all that in right now, we're basing the match on how we feel while watching it.
Yeah.
So I'll give it a 4.
For me, I don't know. I was kind of stuck halfway between both of you. I think I've landed on a 6.5 because I was sort of sports entertained. I'll be honest, but
Then that's all you gotta be, brother.
oh yeah. But yeah, so like it was enjoyable, and I've watched it a few times before, but it didn't blow me away when I first saw it, but it's still not gonna blow me away now. But I appreciate it for what it is, and it bred the likes of Jericho and Okada to do even better shit. So on that basis, I'm giving it a 6.5.
Oh yeah.
So guys, that was fun, right? But next
Yeah.
week is going to be even more fun, because next week, make sure you're all well rested up, because we're not going to have a match next week. We're going to have a big old discussion on who's the better wrestler, Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels.
Shut the fuck up, Tubbs. I don't give a fuck what you're thinking. It's Bret Hart. Shut the fuck up, because Triple H is a fucking not Triple H. HBK is just a cunt, and then they found Jesus. So fuck it, man. Like Bret Hart just is.
So, guys, get in your Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels questions.
Can I just say one thing? Yes, HBK was a cunt and he went and found Jesus, all right? But Bret Hart thinks he is Jesus.
Save it for next week. Save it for next week.
He's a mark for himself, my friend.
So, guys, get in your comments for next week.
It's going to be a
hot. Tell us what you think of Shawn Michaels. And we're going to go to war over it next week. So, and we're even going to do something fun which you won't have seen before on the channel. So,
Oh, so I see. Is it 2-on-1 against a tub? So next week, is it?
Well, I'm just the moderator here, like so.
Didn't the tub be like, I don't need any help because I'd be sucking some HBK cock. I can defend him. He is the best. Shut up.
I just want to say one thing before we go, right? Tubbs said it's going to be 2-on-1, but just put yourself in Bret Hart's shoes the night of the Montreal Screwjob, and we're out.